Thanks for joining Heavy today for the very first segment of Band versus Heavy, where we run through a review or our review of a band's new album track by track and ask the band themselves if we're on the right track. We're starting off today by speaking with Mammal frontman Ezekiel Ox about the Penny Drop, which comes out on March the 6th. And we put ourselves in the hot seat straight up. Zeke, welcome, brother.
Thanks for having me, Chris. It's always a pleasure getting together with Heavy Mag Australia and yourself particularly.
As for sure. I'm just hope you don't drink out of that cup that you showed me before, mate, because you're going to throw me right off.
What, this cup?
I wish I had to come prepared, eh? I should have known.
Sweet 2021 premiership, baby.
All right, so you probably won't be too familiar with how we're going to do this either, and I'm not, because I'm making it up as I go along. So I'm just going to read my review of the album. So basically, we're gonna do a video review of the album. I've already done the review, but we're going to run through it track by track, and you're going to tell us if we're on the right track about the song or not, and then give your feedback on it. So, are we ready to plunge?
We are ready to riff.
All right. Well, I'll read the intro out to you first, and then the bit about the first song. So, Mammal has been right up there as one of my all-time favorite bands from the moment I stumbled across them in one of the side tents at the Gold Coast Big Day Out in 2009. I remember walking past the three-quarter full tent and hearing a rumbling mixture of rock, funk, and metal performed by a tight as fuck band with a bloke out the front wearing one of those hats that would normally be seen atop Fred Flintstone's head when he went to his weekly lodge meetings. Not that the vocalist even slightly resembled the man who yells Yab Dabba Doo, but from afar his choice of head attire certainly piqued my interest. I was devastated later that year when news of the band's separation filtered through, and throughout the ensuing years of silence on the Mammal front, I continued to fly the flag for what I considered, and still do, to be one of the best Australian bands to emerge from our great musical backyard for the last quarter of a century at least. So when Mammal got back together in 2018 and released Community, it was fair to say that I allowed myself to get more than a little excited, with a gradual drip feeding of new music over the next 4 years, barely enough to satiate my growing hunger for new music. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. When whispers began circulating late last year that a new album was nearing completion, I admit to messaging frontman Ezekiel Ox with a subliminally underlying plea to be kept privy to any and all updates, which he obligingly did. And long story short, here I am with the first official review of the album, soon to be followed by an in-depth interview about the release, with a starting point for each track being my thoughts and opinion. So let's not fuck around anymore, shall we? Opening track Moscow starts with a tasty whirling of guitar atop mumbled rants that intensify with each breath. I'm sure if you listen hard enough, you'd be able to make out what is being whispered, because this is Mammal, and they always have something to say. Rather than blast out of the gates on the first song, Mammal instead elect to ease into things with a beautiful harmony of Around the World, repeating as the music starts to grow impatient before bang, Zane Rosaniski kicks in on drums with a menacing kick pattern, enticing frontman Ezekiel Ox to shout, "Do you know where you are?" And just before I snap back, "You're in the jungle, baby," the landscape shifts, and probably not for the first time, into a rapid-fire rap-type monologue of venomous intent. The groove shifts into gear just after the first chorus, and this is the first sign that Mammal are here and ready to rock on the penny drop. The band is at their best when dripping with funk, and already there's enough of it to start a metal disco. Breakdowns ensue alongside timing and tempo changes, but for this song at least, Mammal has kept the contrasting styles to a minimum, allowing Moscow room to breathe of its own accord and thrive because of it. There you go.
I think that's a pretty good review. I mean, Moscow is a song about just us, sort of an acknowledgement of where we're at as a band, trying to say that we want to take it around the world. We probably haven't breaking up as we did in 2010 at really the peak of our powers was it's something that we regret. It's something that we look back on with regret, but we still have ambitions to take our show around the world, as the lyric goes. But Moscow really is a song about being a musician. I mean, one of the lines in it is, music is one thing we all have in common. Pick up guitars, get your fingers to strumming. And music is something that never stops coming, and it's just my luck. And that's a bit of irony, because everywhere I go, there's music around me because that's what I make. And so this song's very much almost like a meta postmodern kind of feel for us, where we're trying to write a song about writing a song to try and take that around the world. We sort of, I don't know if you noticed, Chris, on the opening riff, but we really wanted it to be kind of almost a pastiche to Limp Bizkit. So hopefully the fans noticed that. I don't sound much like Fred, but the band sounds a lot like Limp Bizkit at the start of it. And yeah, we're stoked with that as an opener. And it's just a real message of intent, saying that we're not here to fuck spiders, so to speak. We're here to take this show around the world, and we're here to take our music around the world. So yeah, we're really proud of that song. And I know there's releases that have been made of it online, and we look forward to everyone getting around that.
Oh. Okay, the title track snaps into life next, courtesy of a massive drum pattern before Zeke orders "Let's Go" and "Who Am I to Resist." This track throws down the funk-fueled hard rock from the outset, giving off a strut and swagger that almost matches that of the frontman himself. Almost. Zeke's authoritative vocals are there in all of their unbridled glory, but so far in this album, he seems more intent on laying a sonic platform rather than calling out the oppressors. But it's only 2 songs in. Then the song takes a sharp turn into Funky Town with a swanky breakdown like something out of the Shaft movies. It's only short-lived, however, before Pete Williamson carries the penny drop to a close with a clever guitar run that proves funk isn't the only meal on tonight's agenda.
Well, the penny drop's interesting. It's actually for guitar nerds out there, it's the first song we've ever recorded that's lower than C. We've gone as low as C, drop C, for those that know. This one's in A flat, which is more akin to a seven dust kind of tuning.
Okay.
So you may notice when you go back to it how heavy it is. It's sort of one of the heavier tracks on the record. But within that, I mean, really what the song's about is about that moment when you realize what's going on. And, you know, you look at, you know, there's 30,000 dead in Gaza. There's, you know, constantly, I mean, everyone's struggling at the pump, everyone's struggling at the checkout. At some point, I think it's a moment when people have to realize that this isn't going the way that we want. And hopefully that moment of realization is something that Mammal fans can enjoy on that song. But yeah, there's also a really important lyric. The first lyric to the album after I say "Let's Go" is it relates to the way women have to deal with their sexuality, which I think is really interesting. About you turn up, you get fucked, and everybody says you're a slut. You turn up, you don't fuck, and everyone says toughen up. It's like, I feel like, you know, that often women can't win. They're too sexy, which means that they're too available, or they're not interested, which means they're a frigid or a prude. It's something that bothers me about my female friends. And I think that we're really trying to speak to a broader community on that song. But hopefully the realization's in by this point of the record. And yeah, I mean, we're super proud of that track, and everyone should check out the film clip on YouTube of it as well, because it's a hell of a good time.
It just actually made me realize something there, bro. Like, listening to that song, like when you do sing, like you turn up, you don't fuck, blah, blah, blah. Like the effect that has, as opposed to the way you just said it then, like when you say it, it doesn't have that magnitude, but when you hear it in song, like it's striking and it sticks with you. So you just sort of, it shows the power of music, I guess, in one way.
Yeah, we really focused hard on like artists like Eminem, NWA on this record as well. So we wanted to have lyrics that were confronting, no holds barred. You know, the word slut in my household growing up was worse than see you next Tuesday. My mother finds that word very offensive, and I had to actually go back to my mum. Shout out to Ann Ox if she's watching, and say, "Mum, I'm going to put this word on the album, but I feel like it's appropriate." And she gave it a once over, and she said, "Yes, that's appropriate. It's fine as long as you're commenting on it." But I think that a lot of my favorite artists, you know, in a world of, you know, so constant social media stuff and, you know, everything we see online, it was really important to be confronting on this record, and it's difficult to do nowadays. So we really wanted to have discussed within the group, because it is quite. But yeah, we went with it, so we're proud of that.
Oh. I find that hard to believe that you can't be confronting, mate.
It's harder and harder. I really do think that. Like, I mean, like I said, I mean, we're moving post Eminem. We're moving post. I mean, even Kiss back in the day had protesters. I don't know. Like, I think that it's getting to a point where the world. I mean, even look at the way the world's gone with, you know, hardcore pornography being available constantly. It is harder and harder to shock. And And I think in a way it moves from imagery to conceptual stuff. And so we wanted to make sure we tried on this record to be as confronting as we could, but certainly just the main thing was whether we're confronting or not, to not pull any punches. So that was the main thing.
Sure. All right. Recent single Keanu Reeves is up next, with Williamson picking up where he finished the last song. Then Mammal get their strut on with a tasty groove-orientated passage led by new bass player Cade Turner. This track is a blast of sonic rage and subversion, mixing rock, funk, and metal the way only Mammal can deliver, a hybrid brand of music that is as fresh today as it was the first time this band laid down tracks some 15 years ago. A cool breakdown just shy of the 2-minute mark allows Zane and Williamson to join forces for a quickening moment that provides both the backbone and heartbeat of the song. Absolute cracker.
It is a cracker. I agree. Really important song politically. Like I saw an article today online about how AI is going to be moving into people having their own sort of visual units. And then eventually, probably in the next 10 years, people will be able to type the kind of prompts we're typing into chat GTP at the moment. They're going to be able to put those in, and you'll be able to wander around a world that you've invented with your things. Now, that may sound fun, and look, I get it, but the ultimate goal of capitalism is to alienate us from each other, to stop us from feeling connected to each other. And I have grave concerns about where, AI is heading and where the general sense of the world is heading. This song talks about what is objective reality. Where are we as a species? Because the more they atomize us and the more they alienate us, the more we start to say that there's alternative facts, to use a phrase that's come through from sort of, Trumpism. And there's a real issue there that if we can't agree on what's real, trees are real, spaceships are real, as the song says, then we're really going to struggle to move forward as a species. And I think it will be our demise if we can't agree on what's real. If we can't agree that what's happening in genocide is, what's happening in Gaza is a genocide. If we can't agree on what's going on, then we're doomed. So that song's really important politically to the record, but it's also really a call to arms to people to make sure you're connecting with the community, make sure you're disagreeing where's important, but some things are real. Like Melbourne won the premiership in 2021. That's real. You know what I mean? Can't argue with that.
Essendon last won a final in 2000.
and that's real. And that's real. And I know that hurts for you, but these things are objective reality. That's why I love sport, because sport is stats.
I've got to ask you, mate, do you honestly think Keanu Reeves is a very good actor?
100%.
I love him. I think he's great, but as an actor, he's pretty bloody wooden.
It's interesting though, because if you think about, I watched him just last night. My partner and I watched him with Al Pacino in the movie The Devil's Advocate. And it's very young Keanu Reeves playing a lawyer, which I enjoyed. And I love Keanu Reeves. I find him very convincing and I find him very watchable. I feel like if he can go toe to toe with Al Pacino.
Yeah, good point.
Then,
good point.
You know what I mean? I don't know. It's like saying, is Malcolm Young as good a guitar player as John Petrucci? Well, they're very different players, but Malcolm Young serves up the same three chords in a different order with a slightly different right hand. But I would argue that Malcolm Young is a truly great guitar player, even possibly better than his brother, because it's not about being the best or the showiest. It's about, can you connect? And I love Keanu. I think he's a superstar for the ages. And just look at his resume. Look at how many, between John Wick 1 to 4, the Matrix movies, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. He's been involved in some of the biggest franchises out there, and he's brilliant. So yes, I'll stand by that one, Chris.
Very good. I'm glad you clarified that, because I've never been sure if you were taking the piss or not with that. I had to ask you.
Not at all. I love if Keanu's out there watching, give me a call, man. We'd love to have you in the next film clip.
Right. Slings and Arrows eases out of the blocks next, courtesy of Zeke's voice and nothing else, before the band kicks in and ushers in another rap-inspired number that still maintains a harder edge, courtesy of crunching guitars and purposeful drumming. This song is the first track where Zeke actually sings for large periods, and for those of you who don't know, the man can fucking sing. He just doesn't overdo it. A nice guitar solo complete with distortion adds spice to the song before Zeke redirects it back to Restrained rap number complete with vocal harmonies. But it's Williamson on guitar who dominates slings and arrows, and rightfully so.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I agree with you that the song is very much riff driven and it's got Pete all over it. But the interesting part of that song was we didn't have a chorus for it when we went into the studio with Tyson Fish to do the vocals. And Rod Whitfield, who's a freelance journalist that you probably know, he came in just to sit in on the sessions out of interest. And he was there and a few others were there. And we worked hard on that chorus to come up with it. And look, that song's about supreme confidence that we'll win. It's saying that whatever they send to us, we will send back to them tenfold. And it's a song about victory. And as the chorus goes, justice rained down on me, which I think may have been a bit of an influence from me just wrapping up my law degree when we were recording the vocals.
Nice little segue there, brother. Okay, where are we? Hit Me starts with a steady drum pattern before an almighty roll sends things into overdrive and Zeke resumes hostilities. But it's not all rage and spite, with a clean chorus adding nice contrast to the song. Not many vocalists can sustain such sharp vocal disparities within the one song, but I guess no one has ever mentioned that to Zeke. Or maybe they have, and he is now doing it to prove a point. Fuck knows, but it's awesome to listen to. Another hazy guitar solo elevates the song midway through, acting as a buffer to the controlled chaos going on around it, before Zeke closes out the song with more cleans, leading into screams that ram the point home with precision.
Yeah, Hit Me's about celebrating who we are and our power as community. And it's also the chorus vocals, you're just pathetic, my evil twin, that nagging headache that's settling in is the first line of the song. And I mean, that song, it's really me speaking to myself. That moment when you think, oh, is it really worth it? Maybe I should just go and get some for my own. But I hate that part of me that feels, we all have it, that part of you that feels that you're not good enough. Maybe there's some relevance to it, that self-chatter, but mainly it's about getting with your community and do it. The chorus finishes with, we're going to do it our way. And that's the key, and I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're, gay, straight, black, white, yellow, red, brown. Your culture and your community are incredibly important. And we don't want to become a Disney culture. We want to become a culture that celebrates diversity. And so that song is saying that Mammal wants everyone there to do it our way, Mammal's way in this case, which is what? Funk, rock, and revolution in that case.
Good. Doubt is next and is a slower, more deliberate track that gives off a feeling of sorrow and or remorse. Gone are the big guitar sounds and pounding drums, replaced instead by a more mature sounding song that cruises along at a steady pace. I guess you could call it a ballad of sorts, but it's not making me throw up in my mouth, so it isn't your standard album ballad filler. It's actually quite a beautiful number, highlighting Mammal's ability to write more thought-provoking tunes and not just societal observations and statements.
Yeah, Doubt is a ballad. It was written as such, but I also think that was another song that I wrote for myself. Like, unless you have a clear mission and a clear focus, and I love that counterpoint melody at the end. I love the way that chorus comes together. I think it's the peak moment of songwriting on the record, and I think that it's a really important track for the band. And a little hint is we may be likely releasing that as a single at some point. I just feel like, if going back to my youth, every album that I loved, Bon Jovi's New Jersey had I'll Be There For You on it. It's our style of ballad, but a great rock record always has a ballad. Nothing Else Matters on the Black Album is a good example. And so we wanted to we're writing an album, not a single. We wanted to make sure we had a lot of color on the record. And Doubt's one for anyone that's just felt like the world's wearing them down. You're on the bus at 9 a.m. on a Monday, heading towards another week of oblivion. Just keep going, and also understand that every single other human in the world feels the same way you do. But I think that there's another message in that, which is you're born alone and you die alone. You're getting fall down drunk staring at your phone. And I really think that we could look up more. Device addiction is a massive problem. You've got a little kid, I've got a kid. And I really think that, the more we can look in each other's eyes, the better we're going to be. So it's a cry for more humanity, really. And we're super proud of that song. And I can't wait for the punters to hear it when the album launches.
Okay, agree to disagree sees us past the halfway mark of the album, and something tells me from the title alone that this song is going to be personal to Zeke. A swirl of bass, drums, and guitar introduces the song before Zeke explodes into life, delivering a scathing vocal attack that can only be born out of frustration. Touches of funk work their way back into Agree to Disagree, but overall it's just a song of rage and hostility, punctuated by wicked guitars and menacing vocals. An elongated guitar solo hits the spot warmly, but acts merely as a buffer before Zeke taps back into his anger and resumes hostilities. I'm not sure who he is upset at, but I would certainly hate to be whoever that persons may be. But you have to give it to Mr. Ox. The man doesn't mince words when he has something to get off his chest.
Yeah. Decision in the studio. I was like,
you froze at the start of that one again, bro.
there's more.
So, bro, you froze at the start of that one if you want to go again.
So, yes, that's fine. So, yes, I will take the guitar solo, the extended guitar solo. That was actually my call in the studio. I wanted to hear Pete play more. But overall, I think you've really gotten that track there, Chris. Like, it's a simple story. I was at the pub. I was talking to someone about politics and about the Aboriginal issues and the fact that Indigenous people, should be recognised. And they came up with this pearl of wisdom that all Aboriginal people should basically be killed, and that they just felt that it was appropriate at the pub to express that in a social context. And then when I said to them, you can fuck off and get out of the pub, like that, we're not putting up with that. They literally said to me, "Oh, agree to disagree." And I was so angry about, like, I said to them, you can agree to disagree on chocolate ice cream and vanilla ice cream, mate. But what you're talking about is genocide. That's where, so that song, the first lyrics of that song say, what you going to do when they come for you, and where you're going to turn once you let them do it to your neighbor like a dog. People need to remember that when people are coming for others and you feel like that's okay, the end game is always you. When they come for the refugee child, the end game is always you. And so that song is saying that there are lines in the fucking sand, and I am willing to draw them. And I will agree to disagree on some issues of economics. I'll agree to disagree on some issues of how we do public transport, but I will not agree to disagree on fundamental matters of human rights. And that song is incredibly angry, and it's the heaviest song on the record, the heaviest track we've ever written. And I'm really proud of it. And there was a massive argument about the lyrics at the end of that song when I say cunts like you aren't new. And we were arguing about whether we should put that lyric on the album because it's quite confronting. But these people think they're so special. They think they're so clever. And it's just the most common bottom of the barrel thinking. And I just won't have it. So if you want to talk about genocide, if you want to talk about misogyny, if you want to talk about homophobia, I'm not going to agree to disagree with you. I will work to relentlessly smash you from the planet.
Well said, brother. Very well said. Okay, the album's only collaboration featuring Fresh Violet is next, and after listening to this album multiple times, I can tell you this is my favorite. With the vocal introduction spelling out bass in multiple formats, Zeke politely asks, "How's the bottom end?" before launching into a tirade of sorts that always comes back to the variant of the word bass. Fresh Violet enters the fray with a pleasant and engaging voice that is an underlying menace. It offers extreme light to Zeke's shade, and the two vocal components gel nicely together. Violet says something about a slap in the face, and one can only assume she is referring to the double S version of bass, which would fit in with the references to the bottom end. It's a frenetic and groovy number that has Zeke snarling and wailing with intent, refusing to be calmed toward the female vocals. Finishing with a tasty as fuck bass run. I'm still not entirely sure what the song was about, but I do know I like it.
Yeah, it's an outlier, that track. And it's interesting you thought it was your favorite, Chris, because it's one that it always gets a heavy response either way. But look, all I will say is, it's important to focus on Violet's contribution here. Violet is the first guest vocalist Mammal's had on a recording. Violet is also an amazing MC from Melbourne, someone who's worked with us in the past. And we just felt like it was time to get some feminine energy in there. But really the song's about the versions of bass, BASS bass and BASE bass, sorry. We want the bass, we want the working class bass, and we want the bass. And that bass run at the end from Cade is ridiculous. It's like Victor Wooten ridiculous.
Yeah,
And so we kept that on there. And that was something that came up in demoing. So, but yeah, it's definitely a fun song. It's got Cade actually said that he thinks it's like a bit Mr. Bungle.
It's a little bit in parts, yeah. It's all over the shop in parts, but just the way you finish with that bass run, it's probably one of the best endings to a song, period, ever.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that, and we're proud of it. So get around that, and there could be a clip coming for that too. But yeah, we're super proud of that track, and just cannot thank Violet enough for her contribution to it.
Nice. Okay, is it Live, Bold and Dangerous or Live, Bold and Dangerous?
Live.
Okay, so Live, Bold and Dangerous stutters to life before a tough as fuck drum intro coaxes Zeke's inner rapper out of slumber. He has a rare ability to switch from rap techniques to screaming, to rocking, to harmonious cleans at will, and it's hard to imagine many vocalists keeping up with him. But don't tell him I said that. A wicked guitar-led breakdown around the 1.5 minute mark sets the track ablaze before a funkier breakdown led by bass flips the song onto yet another axle, which doesn't deter Zeke as he powers back into action, and you can almost picture him gyrating and playing up to the crowd while playing this live. Finishing with a simple question, a statement of how good is music, we are carried into what Zeke has already told me is the album's ballad in Maybe.
Yeah, Live, Bold and Dangerous is it's about playing live. It's about about our love for that. And I mean, one of the lyrics is, step up the front, give it some grunt, get a little physical. It's grown up fun. Mammal is a band for adults, and we missed the mosh pit during the pandemic, and that song's definitely a response to that. And I would say it's a really big contender for the name of our next live album. So Volume 3, Live, Bold and Dangerous.
Nice. I'll write that down to ask you about when we have our proper interview.
And how good's Pete's solo on it?
Mate, he's wicked. I remember when you guys broke up, he joined, was it Black Devil Yard Boss? I've followed that band a few times and went and saw him live, and he is a brilliant, brilliant guitarist.
Who's that?
Pete.
Oh, no, he's unbelievable. Yeah, he was, I don't know. A lot of people wouldn't know, but Pete was the guitar player on Pete Murray's first 2 releases. He's extraordinarily versatile, from country picking, chicken picking, all the way through to riffs, heavy metal. Yeah, Pete's definitely one of Australia's guitar heroes. Yeah, stoked to play with him.
Right, so moving on to the song Maybe. Now, we all know my aversion to ballads on any album, but given Mammal aren't prone to including many, I get the feeling this one must be pretty special, so approach it with the respect it deserves. A gentle guitar intro awash with measured hi-hat taps affirms my belief. By the time Zeke eases up to the microphone and starts singing within himself and with clear emotion, I find myself quickly forgetting this is a ballad of sorts and instead enjoy it for what it is, a fine piece of music. You can almost feel the emotion as Zeke begins his sonic tale as the rest of the band maintain a steady output between tempered and mournful backups that add a touch of mystique to what is already an engrossing song. While essentially the very epitome of a ballad, Maybe possesses much more musically. An underlying sense of gloom and sporadic flashes of bass accentuate the emotional aspect of the track, and the fact Zeke resists many opportunities to cut loose into more aggressive territory speaks volumes in itself. I still have no idea just what has stirred emotions within the enigmatic frontman, but I'm also sure I will find out in due course.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Maybe's a ballad. I think about stuff like Tool. I think it's more seething and more aggressive and more, it's dark. It's too dark for a ballad, but yeah, Maybe's a song about, it's about Mammal's history in a way. It's about being in Mammal's hard. It's a hard band to be in. And I'm sure that most bands feel that, but we've broken up and we've come back together and we've, changed members. And there's times when you're in a band that it's really difficult to deal with each other. And a lot of that comes from youth often, because you're in a band and you're young. We don't have that excuse anymore, but Nick leaving the band was a really difficult time for the band. And in many ways, this song's about the first time we broke up, but it's also about, Nick leaving the band. And I think it's actually one of the heaviest songs on the record. And I love the way that it doesn't go there. It doesn't have a massive riff. It's just a song about um, trauma. It's a song about being disappointed. It's a song about wanting. It's angry about anger and all the things that come with anger. I don't think I need to identify those. So yeah, I'm a big fan of the song, and I think it to me it speaks to me more in like some kind of like a tool or some kind of a progressive level. So whereas I said earlier, Doubt is the ballad. I think Maybe's actually one of the more brutal songs on the record, and hopefully it's a song for everyone who's ever had someone in their life that they just can't get along with when they need to. That's what it's about.
Yeah, very cool. Make It Count marks the second last song on the penny drop and starts as such with a damaging drum and guitar opening passage over the top of hoo-ha's from Zeke that only magnifies the track continues. It is already an intense song that maintains rage throughout as Zeke taps back into his inner conflict and reignites the war against humanity's oppressors. Sell yourself, make it count, he barks, emphasizing the point that as a species, humans are giving more and more of themselves over too easily without questioning why. A calming breakdown near the 2-minute mark is almost ethereal in nature before a frenetic and commanding bass-led change in tempo brings back the groove and funk, and we are once more in subconscious dance mode. And that is one aspect of Mammal's music that is understated to an extent. These guys make music that forces you to dance. Even people like myself that are violently opposed to busting out the moves find it impossible to resist the charm of Mammal's music. And on more than one occasion, I've felt my body moving in unwanted directions at a live Mammal show.
Yeah, I mean, Make It Count's like a mad outlier for the single, I think. Another single. I mean, really, it just is what it is. It's a song about you only get one shot, but it's also about there's you may remember there's a section in the middle which you may have just spoken about where it kind of becomes quite mellow and there's no vocals and the band just does this kind of thing, which I always felt was kind of like it sounded like kind of something that Cog would have come up with. Something. It sounds almost like the beach. To me, that's the weekend. And the rest of the song is the working week building up to the weekend.
Right.
And then that urgency that comes back in is coming back in late on Sunday when you realize you're going to have to answer all those emails. You're going to have to hit the forklift again or whatever it is. So it really is just a song about work. We all have, a lot of us have kids. A lot of us have things we want to do. And unfortunately, the system that we work under means that we have to be beholden to that system, and it's important to make it count. So, I've never liked the idea that that we should work harder for more, or if we want to get more. I think we should work less for more, and but I think also if you work a minimum wage job and you keep a roof over your head and you look after your kids, that really is making it count. And that can be super difficult for people. And I don't want to begrudge anyone what they're capable of or what they're doing, because that song is just a song for workers. It's just a song about like, you just got to fucking get up and do it every single day. And the same is for Mammal. Like, what we do is it's good. It's a good time. But really the main thing for us is being on stage, making it work on stage, and the rest of it is often a bit of a grind. So we feel that, and we hope that people feel that. But yeah, I just love the hook, surf the wave, like you're going to cop it in the face, but sometimes it's just about being able to move with it, because everyone's got their shit. It's also a song about meeting people where they're at, that saying of like, never judge anyone because everyone's fighting a battle you don't know about. It's a cliche, but I think it's really true. So, so I think that's what that song's about.
Cool. And here we are at the end with song 5 Days. I can't remember the last time I was this bummed out that an album was about to finish, but I can rest easier in the knowledge that I can just start all over again. A countdown to 5 sparks a song into being, with Mammal seemingly intent on winding things up with the same enthusiasm as they started. Drums play a large part in the early stages of 5 Days, but as the track progresses, it becomes clear that every instrument will get its time to shine. But, of course, Ezekiel Ox remains the pivotal point from which the Mammal sound is produced, and the frontman glides and grunts his way through yet another musical journey wrapped neatly into one digestible package. A wicked guitar solo soars majestically into the ether as Zeke sits back to admire the beauty of his band and bandmates, but not before he surges back to the plate and fires one final salvo of I'll See You Never. While every Mammal fan and those with even a passing interest in the band have long known of the talent residing within these four individuals, the band's output of one album in the last 15 years has always been a source of concern. Have they got another great album in them? Will they overcome the problems of the past long enough to finish another album? Or even the simple question of will they be able to better the majority? The answer to those questions and more is an emphatic yes, a fuck yes even. Mammal are back, ladies and metalheads, and they are intent to welcome you into their musical family by whatever means possible. Resistance is futile.
I love it. It is futile. You will get it. And I noticed you may have looked up and noticed that I just managed to change my background to the great.
Did you even listen to anything I
Captain Max Gunn. Yeah, I did, but I'm just gonna pick Gorney's nose. Pick Gorney's nose.
Oh, that's sensational.
Anyway, so look, I mean, 5 days. 5 days is another one of those riffs on the album where we were really trying to plow that feeling of like appetite for destruction. It was a big mission for us to think about that record. But on top of that, you know, the song's really just about addiction, you know, and about that sort of endless drag and that cycle of addiction for yourself and for those around you. So, you know, it's something that I've struggled with. It's something that I know a lot of our punters have struggled with. And you can be addicted to lots of things, you know, you can be addicted to cigarettes, you can be addicted to pot, you can be addicted to money, you can be addicted to anger. It doesn't matter what it is, whatever you're addicted to is gonna in the end, it's gonna destroy you, you know. And look, there's a romantic part of that, which is, you know, I think stop me if I'm wrong, but I think it might have been Jack Kerouac, the great American beat author, said, find what it is that you love and then let it destroy you. And so if that's what music does to us, fine. But that song's really just about dealing with addictions and that endless cycle of it. But the whole point is that the chorus says, will it matter in 5 days? Will it matter in 5 weeks? Will it matter in 5 years? And they're all interesting questions when you're addicted. You know, if you smoke a packet of cigarettes a day, it probably won't matter in 5 days. But then again, if you've spent all your money on them, then it will matter. And then will it matter in 5 weeks? Probably not, but the cigarettes probably will add up in 5 years. And if you get wildly off your face at a party because you're an addict and you fuck up a friendship, then that probably will matter in 5 days and it will matter in 5 years. So it's really, there's linear times between what it's worth. If anyone is struggling with addiction out there, just don't be too hard on yourself and just try to take every single bit of progress that you can as you move forward and try to get better and better. But yeah, I mean, even the great Max Gorn,
who
smoked the great Max Gorn, he got busted smoking cigarettes in the car park when he was in his first year at the D's, and now he's a premiership captain. So I just think that there's always a way forward, and it's always it can be 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but just don't beat yourself up. And if you know someone that has an addiction, just be kind, because I guarantee when they're showing you how shit they can be, they're fucking hating themselves. They hate the addict hates who they are. It comes from trauma. It comes from low self-esteem. And hopefully the end of that song, I'll See You Never, as you said, is saying that eventually addicts can move on. So I wish everyone well, but hopefully no one moves on from their mammal addiction. But that's a healthy addiction. That's a healthy addiction.
It is.
Unless you're spending all your money, but we haven't got enough out there. It's not like the tickets cost as much as Taylor Swift or anything. It's not, you can, in fact, our last show was free. You can afford that.
I should have come down to that one.
100%, man. It would have been way cheaper for you and your daughter. Probably not as many fireworks or absolute certified platinum bangers though.
Very good. Well, that wraps up Heavy's first video album review with Ezekiel Ox from Mammal. The album, The Penny Drop, is out March 6th. And as a long-time Mammal fan, I can say honestly that it is well worth the wait. Great album. Everyone, if you like Mammal, get it. If you don't like Mammal, get it and be baptized. But great effort, brother. Congratulations.
Really appreciate the feedback, Chris. It's just unbelievable to know that I think it is important that the old school Mammal fans love it, because it's not a departure by any means. I did want to say, you know, something I didn't get to mention was that Zane Rosanowski's work on this record as a wrap up was absolutely instrumental. Pete wrote the riffs and then Zane put them together into songs. And I think there's a real taste, and there's a real sort of what's the word? A restraint almost. I mean, he's the heaviest hitter in the biz, Zane, but the restraint that he shows in the songwriting, Zane is instrumental in the songwriting. He had a little bit to say about the lyrics. You know, obviously I think in a way me, Cade and Pete stand out more, but like every good drummer, Cade is there as Zane is there as the spine. And we just can't wait for everyone to hear it. So, and do us a favor. If you hear it, if you're a Mammal fan, just share it. Just show people how fucking good this record is, because I'm with you, Chris. I'm a big believer in this record. I'm bullish about it. And I think it's got a lot to say. But I also think if you don't really give a shit about the politics, just put it on, turn it up, crack a beer, and it will not disappoint. It is a fucking all-time classic, great rock and roll record with lots of guitar solos, lots of great beats, and lots of great riffs. So thanks to Heavy Mag, as always, for the time. And apparently we're going to be seeing each other for another interview soon.
Yeah, mate, I'm going to get changed into something less comfortable.
Yeah, I can imagine that it was quite uncomfortable for me up until 21. So I can understand that.